Hello again, and welcome to day 3 of week 32 of the Religious Education Initiative. We're continuing now with Luke chapter 23. Last time we saw Jesus betrayed and brought to trial by the high priests and the elders of the people, and we saw Peter deny the Lord while he was waiting to see what would happen. Now, once the high priests and the elders had gotten Jesus to admit that he claimed to be the Son of God, they will now bring him to Pilate and seek the death penalty for him. So, chapter 23. Then the assembly rose as a body and brought Jesus before Pilate. They began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man perverting our nation, forbidding us to pay taxes to the emperor, and saying that he himself is the Messiah, a king." Then Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "You say so." Then Pilate said to the chief priests and the crowds, "I find no basis for an accusation against this man." But they were insistent and said, "He stirs up the people by teaching throughout all Judea, from Galilee where he began, even to this place." When Pilate heard this, he asked whether the man was a Galilean. And when he learned that he was under Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him off to Herod, who was himself in Jerusalem at that time. When Herod saw Jesus, he was very glad, for he had been wanting to see him for a long time, because he had heard about him and was hoping to see him perform some sign. He questioned him at some length, but Jesus gave him no answer. The chief priests and the scribes stood by, vehemently accusing him. Even Herod with his soldiers treated him with contempt and mocked him. Then he put an elegant robe on him and sent him back to Pilate. That same day, Herod and Pilate became friends with each other. Before this, they had been enemies. Pilate then called together the chief priests, the leaders, and the people, and said to them, "You brought me this man as one who was perverting the people, and here I have examined him in your presence, and have not found this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he sent him back to us. Indeed, he has done nothing to deserve death. I will therefore have him flogged and release him." Then they all shouted out together, "Away with this fellow! Release Barabbas for us!" Now, this was a man who had been put in prison for an insurrection that had taken place in the city, and for murder. Pilate, wanting to release Jesus, addressed them again, but they kept shouting, "Crucify! Crucify him!" A third time he said to them, "Why? What evil has he done? I have found in him no ground for the sentence of death. I will therefore have him flogged, and then release him." But they kept urgently demanding with loud shouts that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate gave his verdict that their demand should be granted. He released the man they asked for, the one who had been put in prison for insurrection and murder, and he handed Jesus over as they wished. So, through all of this, what we see is the Roman legal system was not particularly just. However, it was at least, they were at least looking to see, has he done what they're accusing him of doing? It's not that hard to, if you're in a position of power, to realize that if you want to get rid of someone that you don't like, it's easy enough to accuse them of doing something that the Romans have made illegal, and then if you can get the Romans to kill them, then they're out of your hair, and you can carry on. You're saved the trouble of doing the deed yourselves. So I think this is why Pilate and even Herod are being careful, not because they're particularly just, but because if they allow justice to be perverted to that extent, killing anyone, at the drop of a hat who's brought to them on any accusation, then they won't do anything else but kill people for family feuds or business disputes or competition issues or what have you. So this may connect with what Jesus said a couple of chapters ago when he told them to make sure that they had swords with them, because having the swords along and having done violence when Peter cut off the ear of the servant of the high priest, that gives just a tiny little bit of credence to their accusation against him. And Jesus intends to go where he's going. So by telling them to bring the swords, not allowing them to actually use them to fight for him, but making sure that there is that small hair of a just cause. He's showing them again that he's going on purpose. It's not an accident. He's not a victim. He's not, he's not just being betrayed by jealous men. He's going on purpose to suffer and to die. It's interesting to see Pilate being more just than the high priests. Jesus gives the same non-answer to Pilate as he gave to the high priests. They said, "Are you the Son of God?" And he says, "Well, you said so." And they said, "There we go, we've got him." Pilate asks him, "Are you a king?" Which is, the Roman equivalent, the Roman interpretation. And Jesus says, "You said so," which is to say, "I didn't." And Pilate is like, "I get it. You're pretty much saying this is the accusation against me, but it's not what I'm here for. It's not what I'm trying to do." What we see here is Jesus conducting himself with quietness, with meekness, with self-control. He's not showing any fear of either Pilate or Herod or the high priests. He's not trying to do tricks or miracles, which we know he could do. He's not trying to get out of it. He's there accepting what is happening because he chooses what is happening. And it's throwing everybody for a loop. And we see the crowd. We see the high priests and the scribes, those who have decided that Jesus needs to die. We see them determined to bring about that result. So they're just pushing. They're saying, he's declared himself the Messiah. He's declared himself to be a king. He's an enemy of the Romans. You have to kill him. We want you to kill him. And even when Pilate offers to let someone go, they choose a different rebel, someone who actually was a rebel against Roman power, who actually had raised troops to fight against the Romans. They demand that he be freed instead. But the main point through all of this is we see Jesus going willingly to the cross. He's not a victim. He's not helpless. He's not constrained. He chooses to go. And in everything that he does through the whole process, he acts as one who goes willingly, because he does. This is very important. So we will see what happens next week, as we get very close now to the church's celebration of Holy Week and of the Lord's resurrection. So God bless you all. I'll see you next week for week 33.